It happens before you can stop it. You are alone in the house, and somewhere in another room, something creaks. And in that first half second, before any logic arrives, your mind does not ask, "What was that?" It asks, "Who is there?" Notice the difference, not what. Who? In an empty house with no one around for miles, your brain reaches first for a person, a presence, someone. You shake it off. It was the floorboards, the wind, the house, settling, but that flicker, that instant assumption that something unseen is paying attention to you, is one of the most powerful forces in human history. It built every temple, it wrote every myth, and it lives inside your skull right now. Here is the fact that should stop you cold. Every human society ever studied, thousands of them, scattered across every continent and every era, separated by oceans and tens of thousands of years, independently invented gods, spirits, ancestors who watch, unseen agents who care what you do. Not most cultures, all of them. Hunter-gatherers in the Kalahari, farmers in ancient China, islanders who never met another people in their lives. None of them learned it from the others. They each arrived at the same idea on their own. When something appears everywhere, independently, that is a clue. It means the cause is not the culture. The cause is something deeper, something in the shared architecture of the human mind. You probably assume religion is something you are taught, but the real answer is far stranger. Belief in the unseen may be a side effect of the very things that made you intelligent. To understand why, we have to go back to the creak in the dark. Imagine your ancestor on the savannah 100,000 years ago, hearing a rustle in the tall grass. There are two possibilities. It is the wind, or it is a lion. And there are two ways to be wrong. You can assume it is a lion when it is only the wind, or you can assume it is the wind when it is actually a lion. Feel the difference in those two mistakes. The first one costs you a jolt of fear and a wasted moment. The second one costs you your life. Over millions of years, the brains that survived were the brains that assumed agency first and asked questions later, the ones that saw a hunter in every shadow. The psychologist Justin Barrett gave this mental machinery a name. He called it the hyperactive agency detection device. Your brain comes equipped with a hair trigger system whose only job is to scan the world for agents, for things that act on purpose, and it is deliberately, usefully oversensitive, because 1,000 false alarms are a price worth paying to never miss the one real predator. You feel this system fire constantly, the shadow that makes you flinch, the sense that someone is behind you, the face you see in the burnt toast, in the front of a car, in the surface of the moon. That is not a malfunction, that is the single most important survival tool your ancestors owned, doing exactly what it evolved to do. Now point that system at a world full of mystery. Why did the river flood? Why did the crops fail? Why did the child get sick? A brain built to detect hidden agents looks at events with no visible cause and reaches, automatically, for an invisible one. Someone did this. Someone is angry. Someone must be appeased. The anthropologist Stewart Guthrie spent his career on this idea. He argued that religion, at its root, is the brain doing what it always does, seeing a person where there is only a process. We do not just see faces in the clouds. We see intentions in the storm, moods in the sea, judgment in the harvest. Guthrie called religion systematic anthropomorphism, the relentless human habit of treating the universe as if it were a someone, not a something. And there is a reason that hidden agent so easily becomes a mind. You are by nature a mind reader. Every day you look at other people and effortlessly guess what they want, what they know, what they are about to do. Psychologists call this your theory of mind, and it is so automatic you cannot switch it off. You hand it to your pets, to cartoon shapes moving across a screen, to the dead, who go on having opinions inside your head long after they are gone. A brain that cannot stop modeling minds will, sooner or later, find one behind the thunder, but a hair trigger for agents only explains the spark. It does not explain why the idea of gods is so sticky, why it spreads, why it survives for thousands of years and buries itself so deep that people will die for it. For that, we need a second piece. The anthropologist Pascal Boyer asked a simple question. Out of all the strange ideas a human mind could invent, why these particular gods? Why do the same kinds of supernatural beings appear again and again across unrelated cultures? His answer is beautiful. The gods that survive are the ones that are almost ordinary. Boyer calls them minimally counterintuitive. A successful god is mostly just like a person. It has thoughts, it has desires, it gets angry, it feels pleased, it wants things from you. Your mind already has a complete toolkit for understanding persons, so a god that thinks like a person is effortless to imagine and easy to remember. But it breaks exactly one rule. It is invisible. Or it never dies. Or it can hear your thoughts. Just one violation of how a normal person works. That single strange feature makes the idea memorable and worth repeating, while everything else about the god runs on the social software you were born with. A god that broke every rule, an immortal invisible being that exists on Tuesdays only and is made of fear and cannot be thought about, would be impossible to hold in your head. It would die in a single generation. But a powerful father who watches from the sky and knows when you have done wrong, that one you can pass to your children in a sentence, and they can pass it to theirs. So now you have the recipe. A brain that detects agents everywhere, and a particular flavor of agent, the almost human god, that fits human memory like a key in a lock. But there is one more force, and it may be the most powerful of all. Think about what a watching god actually does to a group of people. The psychologist Ara Norenzayan studied this, and his finding is unsettling. Imagine you believe that an invisible being sees everything you do, knows every promise you break, and will punish you for cheating even when no human is looking. How do you behave? You behave. You keep your word to strangers, you cooperate, you play fair, even in the dark. A society that all believes it is being watched by a moral god can trust on a scale that a society without one cannot. They can build cities full of people who will never meet, and still rely on one another. This is the twist that changes everything. The gods that endured were not just memorable, they were useful. Belief in watching, judging, supernatural agents may be one of the reasons human beings could ever cooperate in groups larger than a village. The idea did not just survive in your mind, it helped your ancestors survive in the world. There is one more piece of evidence, and it may be the most striking of all. If this really is built into the architecture of the mind, you would expect to see it surface before culture has much chance to teach it. You would expect to see it in children. And you do. The psychologist Deborah Kelemen has shown that young children are what she calls promiscuous teleologists. They see purpose everywhere. Ask a small child why rocks are pointy, and they will tell you it is so animals will not sit on them. Why does it rain? So the flowers can drink. No one teaches a child this habit. They arrive with it, assuming that things exist on purpose for a reason because someone meant them to. And when researchers like Justin Barrett looked closer, they found children leaning naturally toward the idea of a knowing, powerful, unseen mind, sometimes running ahead of what the adults around them actually say. The belief is not poured into an empty child. The child reaches for it. Often, teaching is not what plants the instinct. It is what shapes and names something that was already growing there. So step back and look at what we have found. The instinct to sense an unseen presence is your predator detector. The shape your gods take is built from your ability to understand other people, and the reason belief spread across the entire planet is that it bound strangers into something that could trust and build and last. None of this tells you whether any of it is true. That is not a question science can touch, and it is not the question we are asking. We are asking something else. Why does this belief appear in every human culture that has ever existed, with no one teaching it to the next? And the answer is that you did not have to be taught. The machinery was already there. Religion did not invade the human mind from outside. It grew out of the same equipment that lets you survive, and read a face, and love your own children. And here is the part that should give you pause. That machinery never switched off. It is running in you, right now, no matter what you believe. You thank your car when it finally starts on a cold morning. You curse the printer as if it is being difficult on purpose. You feel, in a hard year, that the universe is testing you, teaching you something, trying to tell you a thing. You walk into an empty room and feel, for no reason at all, watched. You name hurricanes, you talk to the dead, you knock on wood, you feel that things happen for a reason, that there is a plan, that someone, somewhere, is keeping score. Every one of those is the ancient device, still firing, still seeing a who behind the what. So the next time you are alone in a quiet house and something creaks in the other room, and your mind reaches, before you can stop it, for a presence that is not there, do not be embarrassed. You are not being foolish. You are simply hearing the oldest question a human mind has ever asked. The same question that raised the temples and named the stars and filled the silence of the world with someone to answer back. Not what was that? Who is there?